Hey there, beautiful souls. I'm so excited today to be here with Lisa Schremp, who's an Ayurvedic practitioner who I have gone to and for the most amazing consultation and treatments, and really helped me feel happier and better. And it really has helped me with discipline, which I am working on this year. So, Lisa, thank you so much.
I love that you said discipline, because Ayurveda is not, a quick fix. It does take our own wherewithal, our own discipline to really change how we're feeling on a day-to-day basis. And that's just so wonderful, because we all do fantasize about getting something in our life that we just take a pill or we do a certain exercise and everything changes. And Ayurveda is really like a whole life discipline. So you can go to somebody like me or an Ayurvedic doctor, a much higher level, and still the same thing is going to happen. They might give you some great herbs, they might give you a great treatment, but in the end, it's like you have your life in your own hands. And that's the good news and the bad news, because you have to work it.
Yeah.
So I love, Danielle, that you said that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it has totally helped. And I want to get into the morning routine, which has helped me, but I really want to, for people that might not know about the practice, would you mind talking a little bit about what it is, and then how did you get into it?
Sure. Well, Ayurveda, Ayuhu and Veda means life wisdom. So we all have it, it's inherent, it's our nature, and the practice revolves around Mother Nature. So what you had mentioned first is daily routine, and how you're excited about getting your daily routine on. And that's just such a paramount part, because the daily routine is in sync with the circadian rhythms of the way the earth and the sun and the stars and all of this is moving around us, and we're part of it. And so if my schedule ignores when the sun comes up and the sun comes down, and when the sun is the brightest, which generally means when the sun is at its zenith, my own internal sun, my digestive fire, both in my stomach and in my brain, right, is ready to digest. So if I ignore that, which, it's really common, we're too busy at lunch to sit down and eat a proper lunch. I ignore that. What generally can happen, and I'm sure everybody can really understand this, is that you wait. And then you wait and you wait, and then you finally go out to dinner and you stuff yourself. And you, we've all done it. And then there's not a great digestion at that, after dusk time. Really the best time is the lunch. So then, you go to bed and you still got all this food in your belly, and you wake up and you're fatigued, and it just kind of spirals into not feeling our best. So daily routine, you hit it on the button. Morning routine, we consider morning the most profound time of the day to change ourselves. And even those hours pre-dawn, of course, you're not gonna get up at 3 a.m., but if you can get up just before the sun comes up, that's just the best time to wake up. The sun is waking up your land, the area around you, and then you have this synchronistic experience in your own self. And so then what do we do at that time? We cleanse. And whether we're cleansing our teeth or our tongue, or we're drinking warm water, we try to get this feeling of I'm ready, I've got the toxins off me, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, I'm gonna maybe exercise at this time, I'm gonna maybe say some prayers at this time. All these things are setting us up for the best possible day. And a lot of people say, well, I don't have any time because I've got the kids and I've got work, and all those things are totally valid. And Ayurveda doesn't mean to say, well, change. But Ayurveda is here to give us guidelines about what we can shift just a little bit. Like maybe I can go to bed a half an hour earlier. Maybe I can switch off with my partner. One day he, takes care of things. One day I take care of things. Just involving the whole house in the morning routine. There's so many things that we can tweak that can actually bring us more Ayurveda, more rhythm with the natural world. And when we have rhythm with the natural world, we're going to have better communication with each other. We're going to have less reactivity and argument and really climate change. I definitely think like being with Earth and all her cycles, like going to bed after it gets dark out and not staying up too late is going to help me feel better the next day and make the more healthy decisions for myself and others, and not to see such a divide between self and other. So another really important thing is, when do I go to bed? And a lot of people love to stay up and burn the midnight oil. There's that phrase, right? Mm-hmm. And burning the midnight oil is like, it's the pitta time of the evening, which means the heat is turned on. And it starts around 10 p.m. and it goes to about 2 a.m. And so there's this heat being generated in our body and our minds. And so it's normal to kind of like want to put out some of your good work at that time. But what Ayurveda has told us, and now modern science is telling us, those hours from 10 to 2 in the evening are the best time to regenerate your body. And your brain. Your brain will detox during that deep sleep time. Mm-hmm. So, that might not be something you can change overnight or in a couple months, but slowly we can start to move towards our bedroom and making our bedroom like appealing to us and appealing to sleep. All these things are part of Ayurveda. So it's really like a whole life system that has a lot of wisdom. That's actually, once you get in the swing of it, you're supported by the circadian rhythm. So that is a huge part of Ayurveda.
It was really helpful for me. I know I came to you when I just wasn't feeling well. I'd put on quite a bit of weight for me, just kind of feeling off and kind of struggling all the way around. And it was so interesting, the consultation and how you went about kind of deciding what I would need. And that was the really, I think, part that I think a lot of people would be interested in, because it's so personalized. Mm-hmm. It's what do you need? What does your body need? And what is your balance? What is your natural? And so I know for me, when you did it, I came out with a little over index on the pitta, on the air and fire space, and not enough water and not enough things to kind of cool down. So probably not surprising why I can be a little hot-headed. Our actually needed to be cooled down. And also the focus wasn't there, because it was just kind of all fire, you're just kind of going.
Right, the fire
without
plus the air.
The rejuvenation. Mm-hmm. And so would you mind talking a little bit about what the dosas are, mm-hmm. right? And what they could mean for people, and even how you went about, I know, looking at my tongue and looking at other things and my pulse and asking me questions about my kind of personality and demeanor, really made so much sense when you came to the end, and not knowing me, you never met me prior to that, and pretty much nailed it. When I went home and talked to my husband about it, he's like, yeah, that's you. What do we need to buy? Watermelon? Let's go get that.
Sure. So these three doshas, which everybody is very excited about, these words, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, are really about the elements of nature. So again, there's this really super wonderful interconnectivity with our world. And that's what's so beautiful about this ancient wisdom, is that it's our world, and our world can help us. And ignoring our world harms us. And again, we harm others through that action. Certainly, I don't think there's that many people that wake up wanting to harm themselves or others, but it happens out of this separation that we have to our world. And so Vata are the elements of space and air, and so we get wind. And we can see wind, and we can all feel wind, like when we multitask. What we might feel like is there's chaotic wind, and we're never really on one path. In fact, we're kind of trying to manage 15 paths at the same time. So that's a very common thing for a Vata dominant, wind dominant person to feel, is that, you know, a lot of enthusiasm, I can do everything, and then tendency is to do those things clumsily or to do them with a sense of erraticness that doesn't give a smooth finishing project. And then Pitta dosha is fire with a little bit of water. We basically call it fire, but of course there's no campfires in our body and brain. There are chemical fires, so that water and heat that is churning information. And when somebody is Pitta dominant, right, they're very fiery, which is like passionate, like a lot of good qualities, but like anger, or if you don't eat, because you have that digestive capacity, if we don't eat, we could get that thing called hangry. Where you're hungry, but then you're pissed off.
Yeah.
Things just kind of tumble into a negative vibe. So then there is the third dosha, which is the last two, the heaviest elements of earth and water also. So Pitta and Kapha share water, and Pitta and Vata do not share, but Pitta has a lot of kind of light qualities like Vata does. Kapha is the heaviest. It's like earth, and it's slow, and it has this lubricosity because of the water element. So we're all these three constitutions, like I have Vata, Pitta, Kapha, you have Vata, Pitta, Kapha, everybody has Vata, Pitta, Kapha, but in different ratios. And so you might be Pitta dominant, Vata secondary. I might be Vata dominant, Pitta secondary. But her and I both share Kapha, even though it's not our dominant dosha. And sometimes what happens is your dominance, like my dominance is wind. So I love to move. Like it's always been helpful to me, and it's always been harmful to me if I don't have the right balance of wind. Just like you love your fire probably, I bet, right?
Yeah.
And it really serves you at times, and you love that ability to digest and to understand problems and how to figure things out. But if it's tipped, if she's out of balance, right, it might be anger, it might be frustration, it might be competition. And then the Kapha dominant person, well, they're generally gonna live the longest if they stay balanced, because they're like of the earth. They have this water. Water is so important for everybody, but so easily Kaphas can gain weight and get sluggish and get depressed. My friend says, if she looks at pizza, she'll feel heavy. It's like some people are like that. Like, they have to really maintain a body that has a lot of movement, a lot of exercise, challenge. Like those things are really good for that earth, water constitution. Actually, a lot of excellent athletes have Kapha strong in their constitution because they have this wherewithal, this longevity of their bones and their tissues. So it really goes very deep. It's not just on the surface, it's not just in the middle path, our digestion, but it's actually our bones and how our immunity is. So, the good thing is that we have all of them. And the good thing is that we can always learn just a little bit about Ayurveda, the circadian rhythms, and start to balance ourselves. And really there is no bad thing, because, you know, learning is knowledge, knowledge applied is wisdom, wisdom is freedom. So, how is that?
Yeah, it was a great explanation, and great to it also is helping me kind of process why it was working so well for me, because not that it was about weight loss, but I lost about 5 pounds, so yay. But more the discipline around it is saying, because understanding when you had gone over the doses and kind of why, it all made sense, right? These were not surprising findings, like not or like I was saying, not when I shared it with others. Yeah, I'll fire or bring in a little bit of that earth. let's calm it down a little bit. But that morning routine really helped me to do that, because part of that, you know, when you have a lot of thoughts and you want to do everything and you're going, nothing happens if you're really not disciplined. And I didn't realize how off that was for me, because having more of that in my personality, I'm doing a bunch of stuff, but it not necessarily taking you someplace, right? So it can throw you off. Around the need for that balance. And you can feel it, I can feel it in my body in such a different way when I'm following that morning routine, because it was so simple for me, you know, that kind of getting up.
Well, also, you know, Pittas are good at discipline. You know, because of that fire, you understood what I told you to do. And, you know, generally, like, that comprehension and that understanding can, you know, that's what it's about. Like, when I really understand how much this affects me poorly or affects me in a positive way, well, why don't I just keep choosing the positive? It's not that I'm going to do it every day. Nobody's perfect. And that's what I always try to stress to my clients, is that if you skip this practice 10 days in a row, on the 11th, just be grateful that you decided to get up with the sun. You know, like, there's never a time, I think, especially now, to get down on yourself. It doesn't help anything, right? So you always kind of have to be your own cheerleader, which Vata is very good, because Vata has a lot of enthusiasm. So you have to, like, you know, cheer yourself on. And even when you know, eat at the wrong time and sleep at the wrong time and drink way too many drinks and feel rotten, even that recognition, that conscious awareness, I feel rotten, can actually be like a wake-up moment, right? And of course, we all know when people hit their bottom, they wake up. But even before, hopefully, we hit our bottom, maybe we just have a really bad evening meal. And we just wake up in the morning, we say, hey, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not either going to go to that restaurant. I'm not going to make that macaroni and cheese with, you know, sausages. That would be a bad meal for me.
Yeah, I have found, because I had that as I was first starting it, I do like to have the challenge of when it gives me a structure, you know, that, so it did work kind of perfectly for me. But I've noticed when I was starting to, you know, oh, do I need to do it this morning, or I don't want to get up after I've done it for a while. I feel so much better with the morning routine of kind of getting the toxins off of you, just if that's all I do. The rinsing of the eyes and face and mouth, like, it's so gross, but I love this tongue scraper so much. It's like you just see it, feel it, you're getting it all out of your body, and that in and of itself, even without the rest of it, just kind of the water and the cleansing,
the tongue
feels so much better.
Yeah, the tongue has all these it's reflecting our organs. And so when we scrape our tongue in the morning, which there is a, you know, tongue scraper, it's shaped like a U, and you flip it upside down and you scrape your tongue 5 to 10 times. And at first, it feels like you're going to gag. It's a little strange, but you notice that on that tongue scraper is generally some gunk.
Yeah.
And so we're not only helping with that initial gunk and cleansing, like when you wake up with gunk in your eyes or whatever, you're not only helping with getting yourself rid of that, but you're also stimulating your organs. And so it's like when you turn the lights on when you wake up, it's like scraping your tongue and drinking a pretty good-sized glass of warm water is like turning the lights on. The peristaltic movement starts to happen, the enzymes are starting to secrete, and you're just starting to feel awake and clearer. And you know, when people tell me they just get up and put their clothes on and drink a cup of coffee and go to work, I feel heavy-hearted about that, you know, because there's so many simple little things that can take 10 minutes that can really recharge you. And of course, the daily routine could take a lot longer than 10 minutes, depending on how much time one has.
Yeah, it really did. Even those small things. So even on the days where I can't exercise or kind of do some yoga or move my body in the morning, that if you can do the full one, I always feel even better. But even just that short, you're starting the day, you're cleansing off the old, and there's something that really your body knows it's signaling, or it absolutely, for me, I could tell an absolute difference.
Yes.
On days when I don't do it, I just kind of struggle. You need more coffee, you need more things, I'm not quite in it.
Yeah.
So
and
that's for
thing
sure.
Too about Ayurveda, it really is to nourish our spirit. And so lots of times there's things recommended for even before we got out of bed, just like practicing gratefulness or just really looking at yourself and seeing, is there something that I need that I don't have? And generally we don't really need too much. I mean, I'm speaking from a very privileged place, but probably if you're listening, you're kind of in that place. There are certainly a lot of beings who need things, but generally what we need is to clear off the gunk and to really make positive movements towards being our best self. And so I think those things really early in the morning, whether it's a meditation practice or just like practicing gratefulness, those really enhance that we are connected to spirit and that it's a force in our life and we can rely on it.
Yeah, it's like I said, so helpful. And the other part for me on the food, because you had mentioned again the personalization, because it's not a one size fits all. It's as you were describing it, this kind of find your balance, right? So that's going to be unique to you, right? Whatever's working. And one of the things that I found very helpful that I could actually feel it differently in my body was because I am so fiery, he recommended eating some watermelons, some melons, but not with any other food. So that's another part of the dosas and the kind of the way was, how do you go about eating this? And one of the things that you were talking about was have these melons without anything else, just have the kind of quenching water of that. And I can tell that immediately. So when I do yoga, or especially in the morning, if I just eat that first, I can feel it calming. It's just kind of calms it does bring in the water.
Yes. Well, melons, all melons generally are sweet, and sweet is cooling. And melons are generally very watery fruit, so that water is nourishing your own internal water, which is anti-aging, right? If our body is dry, it's an old body, right? If we keep nourishing it, and the best way to nourish the water element, which is not that high if pitta is high, right? Because we might be, we might be dry, more so Vata. This is getting a little intense, but anyways, let's go back to the melons. Melons are sweet, they're watery, so they're gonna very much help a Pitta dominant, a Vata dominant. They might be a little too heavy for a Kapha, because Kapha already has a lot of water, a lot of heaviness. So that Kapha dominant person, they might need something different in the morning. They might need like, they could maybe still have a fruit, but maybe a fruit that is more on the digestive side, like an orange, right? An orange has some heat to it. So it's still juicy, it's still delicious, it's still a good thing to eat in the morning, but it's gonna be a little bit more digestive. Whereas you are kind of cooling the digestive fire. So we always have to we do look at the tongue as a diagnostic tool to see if there is a lot of undigested or malabsorption in the GI tract, and how we can improve that by knowing somebody's constitution and then gearing them towards foods, drinks, and practices that are going to help their own personal constitution stay balanced. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense, and it really makes a difference when you're eating more to the way what your body needs. And it's been interesting in the household. My husband's a great cook. He loves to just kind of experiment with the different foods, and kind of thinking also kind of about his constitution and then what he would need different, and the kids. It's been really kind of a fun thing also to try to make sure. And the evening meal, having that be mostly kind of the proteins and veggies, and was very easy.
Should be light. You know, like we always say, ideally it's a one pot meal. So everything is either a potage or a soup, or we make khichdi a lot in Ayurveda. But you want to have the dinner to be kind of like gentle and easy to digest. Like smorgasbord is like the worst for evening meal, because there's just so many objects that are going to be on your plate probably, and then you're going to have to digest them all before you go to bed. So, or get a good amount of digestion in there before one's head hits the pillow. But lunchtime, especially if you have a good digestive fire and you're hungry, that could be much more varied. And you know, that's the zenith of the sun. So our body is gonna have the most heat possible at that time. So that's when we should eat our biggest meal and really satisfy ourselves at lunch. Like, don't skimp, because then you won't feel as hungry at dinner, and you'll feel more like, yeah, I could have a bowl of soup. Maybe it would have some protein in it, some quinoa or some chicken or whatever type of food that I eat. But I'm not gonna be having raw salad at dinner. I'm not gonna have maybe a dessert and a roll of bread and then butter, and you know, like, it's gonna be calmer, smaller, more contained, so that my digestive tract is not like freaking out. How are you gonna get this finished before she goes to sleep?
And you can really feel the difference once you're trying it the next morning, and then that combined again with the morning routine.
And you'll sleep better. You won't wake up nearly as much. Sleep is such a big deal for people these days, and really it revolves around that circadian rhythm. Having a substantial dinner, it can be as much as you're hungry for, but it shouldn't be too late nor too varied. And then to after dinner to really wind down and really feel this experience, like, I don't need to do anything, I just want to be. I want to be with my family, I want to be, maybe go for a walk, and you know, not be kind of rushing to get things done even before you go to bed.
Yeah, the awareness around it, of trying to kind of be more conscious around just your natural rhythms and the rhythms of the world, has just really been more calming. And for a Pitta person, calming is a very nice thing to feel. Along with that, the other thing that I had done that I found really helpful and kind of started off the process of feeling very kind of detoxed and just amazing, was you had suggested an oil treatment, which was kind of this kind of cleansing oil, which I wouldn't have thought oil would have been so cleansing, but I feel so relaxed and amazing. I was like floating out here.
One term we use is oil bath, the Ayurvedic oil bath. It's not a bathtub and you get an oil, but it is a considerable amount of medicated, herbalized oil that is massaged into the body in rhythmic strokes. And these strokes are, it's an excellent treatment for Vata pacifying, to bring down the winds. So it's very calming, it's very nurturing, it's warming. It uses the movements, the natural pranas, winds in the body, and calms them. And then you do go in the wonderful steam box, and that opens up the channels and the herbs go deeper. And what that oil does, so toxins are sticky, and just when you're always feeling like this pain in your neck, right? That's a toxin, right? It's like you don't feel it when you're feeling good, but as soon as you don't get enough sleep, soon as you don't eat right, you feel that kind of something or another. So then what happens with the oil when it penetrates and the steam helps it go deeper and the rhythmic movement is that toxin slips. And then it either slips to the surface of the skin, and then I put on that detoxing final kind of basting you in the ubtan, which is like a bathing dry soap. And then also it goes to the GI tract. So the toxins have these two ways of getting out of us. One through the malas, which is urination, defecation, and sweating. And one is through sweating, the skin. So we remove it with that powder.
Yeah, and you really when you cleanse that off in the shower, you just really feel like it's just going.
Yes.
And and even in the evening, I did sleep great, and then got up in the morning and I was excited to try the routine. Like the whole thing kind of just brought me up. Of okay, I've got it. Probably you were saying that's not uncommon for people. I had a process to follow. I had some things that I could do.
Yes.
And it felt right. It felt like it made sense for me, which is, I think, a big thing because there's so many practices, right? There's so many things when people are saying, this could be for you, this is going to help you do it this way. But the beautiful part of the whole consultation and that kind of personalization is it felt very like we were working together to figure out, well, what is this puzzle that is going to help you?
Human beings, nature, consciousness, mind, it's all a big puzzle. And that, I think, is the goal of Ayurveda, for us to take on our own puzzle daily and really recognize what benefits us, what tends to harm us, and to kind of then have the wisdom and the wherewithal to walk down the path that seems to be the best medicine for me today. And the difficult thing is that things are always changing, like the seasons. We're about to go into fall season. So fall season is cool, it's chilly, there's a lot of wind, very different from all that heat we just had. And so now we have to really turn a corner and say, what do I need to throw out that I was doing in summer that's really not going to benefit me in the fall?
Yeah.
Like one thing in the summer is to just be in natural bodies of water, or even in your pool, not so natural, because that water element is so depleted during the summer. And to eat a lot of melons and juicy fruits and vegetables. But in the fall, one thing that happens is that it's very windy, and that wind dries us out and we feel frazzled. So, it seems like, water is another good thing opposite the dry, but what's even better is the oil. So getting really good fats in your body during the fall season. Now, again, it's going to be varied between what kind of person are you. Like if you're Vata dominant and you've got a lot of wind and it's the fall season and you're, over 50, you got a lot of Vata going on. So that's going to be different than somebody who's going into the fall season who's a youth and they're Kapha dominant. They're not going to have nearly as much problems of dryness or feeling blown by the wind as that older person who's, already Vata dominant and going into the fall season. Yeah. So that's where it gets complicated, right? You can feel all those layers of change. Things are always changing. So that's why, the meditation and the gratitude and the really like raising our consciousness, what do I need today, is really helpful for taking care of ourselves.
Yeah. Awareness, anything that can bring you to yourself is going to be a beautiful thing.
Yes.
If people can see a practitioner, like you wanna, if you're in the Phoenix Valley area, all of Lisa's information will be in the description box, so please reach out. There might be a practitioner in your area. Is there anything that you could say to people that might not be able to either find a practitioner or go to, afford to go to see someone?
Yeah.
You've given a lot of tips around kind of the awareness and the seasons.
Well, there's so much on the web. And of course I wouldn't recommend it all, but my teacher, the Ayurvedic Institute, which is now in Asheville, North Carolina, has a lot of wonderful information free on their website. So does the Banyan Botanicals, where I've purchased my products. It's a company that's wonderful company, and tons of articles. I've written an article that's on there about the winter season. And one of my teachers, Robert Svoboda, has written a book called Prakriti. And I really feel like it's my favorite book. Prakriti means your Ayurvedic constitution. Prakriti also means the matrix of nature. And so this book is so complete, and yet anybody can pick it up and read it. And it's probably on Amazon for, I don't know, $20 or something. So Prakriti by
We'll find it and put it in the description. I'm sorry, what was their name?
Yeah, so reading, looking on the web, and then just going out into nature and being in her presence as much as you can, and really recognizing that you're part of her and she's part of you, and how can you walk together. Really, because even though there's all these like things to do and everything, it is this basic thing of walking with nature and not harming her and thereby ourselves. And so that's a really good thing to do. And who doesn't love to go on a hike or a walk or sit by a pond? Yeah, getting out, getting that vibration of nature on you always changes us for the better, I think.
Oh, I totally agree. We just went up last week. If you're in Arizona, Sedona has a beautiful restaurant right on Oak Creek. Cress, I think, is the name. And I just love to go there and listen to the creek. Right by, like, it's just the most relaxing and peaceful
sounds
thing.
of nature.
It's just
sounds
beautiful.
Of nature.
Yeah. So.
Well, great. Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you. This has been fun.
Thanks, everybody.